On the morning of the 24th of June, 2016, Britain woke up having done something no country had ever done. Voted 52 to 48 to leave the European Union. At the winners' press conference stood two of the campaign's leading men, one recognizable anywhere by a haircut that had also, visibly, made no plan for this. The other blinking behind his spectacles like a man rereading his own homework. They had won. They looked, by every account in the room, like men who had lost. There was a reason. There was no plan. The Prime Minister had been so certain of winning that officials were told not to prepare for the alternative, and by mid-morning, he had resigned. 10 summers on, Arthur has gone back through the whole affair with a shoebox full of receipts. This is the story of what leaving actually cost, what it actually bought, and why, a full decade later, not one country has followed Britain out the door. One thing this story is not: an argument about how anyone should have voted. The vote happened. Arthur is only here for the arithmetic. To understand the exit, first see the hotel. Picture the European Union as a grand old establishment on the continent, the Grand Hotel Europa. Part hotel, part members' club, 28 rooms, shared bills, endless committee meetings about the breakfast. Britain did not have an ordinary room. It had the corner suite on terms no other guest ever matched. A permanent discount on its bill, no obligation to adopt the shared currency, no obligation to open its doors on the shared timetable, and a full vote on the menu, the staff, and the rules. Britain complained about the hotel constantly, and the hotel about Britain, for 43 years, from inside the best room in the building. What the campaign promised was appealingly simple: keep the room's advantages, drop the membership. The hotel's answer lived on a single brass ring. The club is built on 4 freedoms: goods, services, money, and people, moving without friction. And the 4 keys are cut as a set. Take all 4 or hand back the ring. No guest, however grand, keeps just the pool key. The countries the leavers admired, Norway, Switzerland, turned out to live in the annex. They pay the hotel's rates, follow the hotel's rules, and hold no vote on anything. Once that became clear, Britain chose the pavement. The checkout took over 4 years, and it was never a negotiation between equals. Britain sent around 42% of its exports to the hotel. The hotel sent around 9% of its own to Britain. One side could shrug off a bad deal roughly 4 times more easily, and both sides knew it. The campaign had promised that friendly guests, the German car makers above all, would lean on the front desk for special terms. The car makers never came. The desk never blinked. The keys were never split. Britain settled its outstanding tab, around £35 billion, and when the exit terms first reached the British Parliament, they were rejected by 230 votes, the largest defeat any government has suffered in the country's history. The deal eventually signed was thinner than anything the corner suite had ever known. So, the receipts. The government's own forecaster, the Office for Budget Responsibility, puts the long-run cost at around 4% of the economy. Output Britain would have produced, and now, each year, doesn't. The pound fell 13% the morning after the vote and has never really got back up, which made imports, food, fuel, parts, dearer from that day to this. Business investment stalled for years in the uncertainty. For small firms, the paperwork arrived like weather. 9 in 10 told the British Chambers of Commerce the new trading arrangements caused them difficulties. 4 in 5 reported higher costs. A Somerset cheesemaker who once posted cheddar to Lion as easily as a birthday card now needs health certificates a customs agent, and a very good reason. Many decided they no longer had one and quietly stopped. In fairness, Arthur binned some receipts too, from both carrier bags. The famous red bus, promising £350 million a week for the health service, was rounding up with both hands. But the doom side printed nonsense of its own. An emergency budget that never happened, an instant recession that never arrived, and by key a persistent favorite, comparisons of Britain's economy with Germany's measured in dollars, which mostly measured the fallen pound, not the country. Strip the propaganda from both directions, and what remains is smaller than the doomers promised and larger than the leavers admit. Slower trade, slower growth, thinner wages. A bill, not an apocalypse. There is a mirror in the hotel lobby, and Britain has now stood on both sides of it. For 40 years, membership was the national excuse. Waiting lists, low wages, odd rules. Blame Brussels. Since leaving, the mirror has flipped, and every empty shelf is Brexit's doing, including the ones emptied by bad harvests and dear energy. Both reflexes serve the same master, and it is not the truth. A country, like a person, can grow addicted to having somewhere else to point. The strangest receipt concerns the door itself. For many voters, ending the free movement of people was the whole point, and European migration did fall away, close to zero. Then overall migration rose. Net migration, arrivals minus departures, reached around 700,000 in a single year, the highest figure ever recorded, arriving now from further afield, on work visas the British government itself designed. And history was already telling a quiet joke of its own. Polish wages, 3 times smaller than Britain's in the early 2000s, have been catching up ever since. The tide that once pushed 1 million workers west was turning anyway. Britain built a lock for a door that was already closing. And the hotel. The hotel has never advertised so effectively. In 2016, half the parties of Europe flirted with exits of their own. Frexit, Nexit, Dexit, each with a poster and a grin. 10 years on, the posters are gone, and support for membership across the continent stands at its highest in decades. Nothing shored up the European Union quite like watching Britain leave it. Here, though, the leavers are owed an honest paragraph. Britain did take back control in the plain meaning of the words. Its laws are its own. It signs its own trade deals, and no official in Brussels sets its rules. Some voters wanted precisely that, understood it carried a price, and consider the price fair. That is not a mistake. It is a preference. Prices are personal. An audit can only say what the price was. The last page of the audit is the hardest to read, and it belongs to the young. Among Britons over 65, leaving still holds a majority. Among those aged 18 to 24, fewer than 1 in 5 would vote to stay out. In some polls, closer to 1 in 10. Arithmetic like that travels in only one direction, and yet the room it dreams of no longer exists. Rejoining, if it were ever offered, would come on standard terms. No discount, no exemptions, the shared currency expected, a probationary smile at the front desk. You can always go back to the hotel. You cannot go back to your old room. These days, relations are quietly warmer. There are agreements on this, frameworks on that. The hotel lets Britain onto the lobby Wi-Fi, and the shouting has softened into the mild politeness of neighbours after a long fence dispute. Arthur stood across the road at dusk and watched the hotel's windows come on, floor by floor. 10 years then, 52 to 48, bought Britain its own signature on everything, at a cost of around 4% of everything, and settled one great argument for a generation of Europeans. Just not the argument Britain meant to settle. Somewhere, a famous haircut has moved on to other projects. Somewhere else, in a cool room in Somerset, a customs form is being filled in, carefully beside the cheddar. There is no easy last line, because leaving had no easy lines, only trade-offs, honestly counted. Arthur wound up his scarf, an ever closer union of wool and neck that has never yet demanded a vote on separation, and set off home, keeping, as he generally does, to his own side of the road.